Hey guys! Today we'll be covering a 2012 romance film called My Name is Love. The first scene features a handsome boy named Q who is popular throughout his school. He is liked by all the girls, and attracting others is a piece of cake for him. One day, a nerd named Big approaches him and asks for permission to join Q's group, but Q and his friends bully him in front of everyone. Later, a chubby girl named Kerr approaches Q and asks him to be her boyfriend, but he mocks her as well. Cut to a few years later. Q now works as a salesman for a water pump company, and he is no longer as popular as he once was. One day at work, Q and one of his school friends, Joe, are surprised to meet their new boss, who turns out to be Big. To make matters worse, Q also meets his new neighbor Kerr, who is now a beauty star at her university. Q is instantly smitten with her, but the latter now has a boyfriend and doesn't pay any attention to Q. One day, Q and Joe are grocery shopping when Kerr's boyfriend Sam arrives. Sensing the opportunity, the boys start talking aloud and make up a fake story in which Kerr is pregnant. Surprisingly, Sam buys the story and he storms out of the store enraged. Later, he calls Kerr and breaks up with her over the phone. Q, who is watching all this through his window, becomes happy as he believes he has safeguarded his love. The next day, Q notices Kerr with another guy, so he invites him to his house. Even this time, he makes up a fake story and mentions that Kerr is his sister, who died 3 months ago. He then persuades the man that the person he is dating is a ghost. Hearing this, the man becomes terrified and immediately flees. Later, while Q is stalking Kerr on social media, he receives a pop-up from mynameslove.com, a website where people can find their loved ones. Wasting no time, Q registers himself on the website. The next morning, when Q arrives at work late, Big exacts his revenge by making Q carry a heavy item down the stairs. He then warns Q that he has the authority to fire him at any time. Later on his way back home, Q is approached by a random guy who talks to him about the website he registered at the night before. He claims that something will happen very soon that will change Q's life. Q is confused by the statement, but he doesn't pay much attention to it. The next day, he is again approached by the same man who claims to be a Cupid, and his mission is to help people become couples without their knowledge. He also reveals that Q is one of a kind, and that he is there to teach him the ways of the Cupid. Expectedly, Q doesn't believe in the story and decides to walk away, but the man stops him and hands him a book. He claims that the book's content can only be read by Cupids like them. Q doesn't believe him, so he approaches random people on the street and asks that they read the book's contents. Much to his surprise, no one can read it because normal people only notice the blank pages. After this, the guy reveals that Cupids can only make others fall in love, but they themselves cannot be in a relationship. In the next scene, as Q is trying to stalk Kerr from outside her house, Kerr suddenly approaches him from behind, scared. Turns out that a man has been pursuing her from the train station. When the man continues bothering Kerr, she asks Q to act as if he is her boyfriend. Sensing this as the right opportunity to express his feelings, Q tries to say sweet things to Kerr, but whenever he opens his mouth, he only talks about her breasts. This makes Kerr enraged, and she slaps Q before walking away. Here, Q realizes that the Cupid guy was right, and that he cannot be in a relationship with any girl. Following this, he goes to a restaurant depressed and sits alone. Just then, the same Cupid guy and another man named Tom, who is also a Cupid, approach him. Q asks if there's any way to change it, to which they respond yes. According to them, if a newbie Cupid can create 3 couples, he can choose to be a normal person or to remain a Cupid man. They also mention that the entire details of people are written in the special book that will assist them in creating couples. After some time, Q notices detailed information about a boy and a girl in his special book and decides to assist them in becoming a couple. However, his first attempt fails, and 2 crosses appear in his notebook. When Tom notices this, he warns him that if he fails again, he will be unable to love anyone. Following that, they both proceed to their second mission. This time, they fabricate a story about the girl being cancer-stricken. They then persuade the boy to love her and make her happy, as it is the end stage of her life. Surprisingly, the boy agrees, and this excites the Cupid duo, as they believe they have created a couple. However, the next day when they check Tom's book, they notice 2 crosses in it. Devastated, the two immediately decide to confront the boy, but on reaching him, they are shocked to find that he has become a monk. Tom furiously asks the boy about his decision, but the latter replies that he became a monk so that he could pray for the girl and cure her mentally. Following this, Q opens his book and discovers that their next mission involves his own friend Joe and his co-worker Milk. The next day, Q arrives at work and notices Joe and Milk. He also discovers that Joe is flirting with her on the internet anonymously. Taking this as the perfect opportunity, Q reveals Joe's secret identity in front of Milk, impressing her. However, Joe, in spite of loving her, fakes that he only flirts with her for fun. When Milk hears this, she becomes upset and walks away. In the following scene, Tom and the Cupid guy introduce Q to another Cupid named Osaradeng, who has never failed a case. Osaradeng agrees to assist Q, and the two of them proceed to their next mission in the school, where a boy has a crush on a class monitor. Q, with a guitar, assists the boy in singing a romantic song for his crush and expressing his feelings. Fortunately, everything goes well, and Q is able to create a couple for the first time, which makes him very happy. However, he also feels that he's running out of time, as Kerr gets further and further away from him. Following that, they proceed to their next mission, in which a secret police officer named Raop is in love with someone. When they arrive, they see Raop fighting with a group of criminals. After the fight, they invite Raop to a restaurant for a chat. During the conversation, Raop discovers that they are aware of all of his secrets and suspects them of being spies. Wasting no time, he points his gun at them and inquires about their identity. However, the Cupids try to calm him down, claiming that they cannot reveal their true identities because it will change its meaning. Despite this, Raop is curious and continues to question them at gunpoint. Right then, Q receives a call from Joe informing him that Kerr got into an accident and has been admitted to the hospital. As a result, Q flees, leaving Osaradeng at gunpoint. After a bit of running, Q finally arrives at the hospital. When he enters Kerr's room, he is relieved to find that she has sustained no serious injuries. Kerr asks him why he is there, to which Q pretends that his mother's friend is admitted in the next room. After ensuring Kerr's safety, Q rushes back to the restaurant and discovers that Osaradeng has brought the situation under control. Raop himself recognizes that they are Cupids who have come to assist him. Following that, they proceed to Raop's crush, who turns out to be a man. This confuses the Cupids and they consider backing out of the plan. However, Q quickly realizes that time is running out for him, so he has to sort out the situation as soon as possible. He then approaches Raop, gives him a heartfelt speech, and motivates him to confess his feelings to his crush. Taking the suggestion, Raop heads to his crush Mo and reveals everything to him. Surprisingly, Mo accepts the proposal and the two become a happy couple. With this, Q only needs to create one more couple, Joe and Milk, before he can get to Kerr. The next day, Q goes to work, and both he and Joe are disappointed to learn that Milk is quitting the job. In the evening, as Q is having some drinks with Tom and Osaradeng, Tom starts the conversation saying that creating love is a difficult task. In Tom's case, he was successful in creating two couples, but failed in the third because the girl in the case was none other than his ex-girlfriend. Hearing this, Q realizes that if he cannot solve his third case, he will also have to let Kerr go. Q questions Osaradeng about why they don't have special Cupid powers, to which he responds that love itself is special, and that each couple has their own special characteristics. A few moments later, while Osaradeng and Tom are enjoying their time, Q notices a new mission on Osaradeng's tablet. When Q opens it, he discovers that the mission is about getting Kerr and Big together. Shocked by what he sees, he immediately hides the tablet in his bag. With time running out, Q approaches Joe the next day and suggests he express his true feelings to Milk. Joe initially pretends not to like her, but after Q convinces him that Milk is a nice girl, he agrees. A while later, Q drives his friend to the place where Milk works and wishes him good luck. Unfortunately, when Joe is expressing his feelings to Milk, her boyfriend arrives and takes her away. This breaks Joe's heart, while Q is left disappointed. In the next scene, when Osaradeng finds out his tablet is missing, he becomes worried. To make matters worse, his boss orders him to locate it within 24 hours, or else there will be consequences. Later, he meets Q and tells him about his situation. Hearing this, Q feels bad and decides to return the tablet, but is unable to do so. That night, Osaradeng receives a new tablet, which has all the information about the previous tablet's thief. Enraged, he heads straight to Q's house and expresses his disappointment, despite having helped him. Before leaving, he swears angrily that he will complete his mission by bringing Kerr and Big together. The next morning when Q reaches work, he finds Osaradeng conversing with Big. Just then, Kerr also arrives there, and it turns out that she has been hired as the new representative to their company. To make matters worse, it was Osaradeng who recommended her to Big. Q is taken aback by this and becomes even more concerned. Meanwhile, he receives a call informing him that Joe has attempted suicide and is currently in the hospital. Wasting no time, he rushes to the hospital where he discovers that Joe is fine. When asked why, Joe responds that he was extremely sad. While they are talking, Milk and her new boyfriend pay him a visit, which makes Joe even more upset. However, before leaving, she sneaks an envelope on his table. In the following scene, we see Kerr and Q filming a commercial for their company, while Osaradeng continues to manipulate Big regarding Kerr. After work, Q approaches Kerr and attempts to express his feelings to her. But once again, he ends up being a pervert. Fed up with his childish behavior, Kerr storms away. Meanwhile, Osaradeng, who is watching the entire incident unfold, feels bad for Q. Later, he approaches Q and informs him that he has decided to abort his mission. He further reveals that although Q is a pervert, Kerr has always been in love with him. She has many boys who are after her, but she still waits for Q. She also wants to know Q's true feelings so she can make a decision about her future. Back at the hospital, Joe notices the envelope on his table and finds out that it is an invitation to Milk's wedding. Despite his terrible state, he flees the hospital and makes his way to the wedding. There, he writes all of his likes and dislikes about Milk in a notebook in front of everyone, expressing his love. When Milk notices this, she becomes impressed and decides to cancel her marriage. She then approaches Joe, and the two express their feelings for one another, finally becoming a couple. The following evening, Q meets Kerr and shares his feelings with her indirectly. He walks away after saying that he wants to tell her what she wants to know. As he walks down the street, Kerr approaches him from behind, asking why he has been secretly staring at her from his window for all these years, why he came to the hospital, and why he is doing all of this. Q hesitates for a moment, fearful of offending her again, but he gathers his courage and responds, "Because I love you." Just then, he is taken aback, wondering how he could say the sentence. Following that, he wholeheartedly repeats it several times until both of them hug each other and are happily together. Here we learn that since Milk and Joe have now become a couple, Q is no longer a Cupid and is now free to be in a relationship. Meanwhile, Osorodang and Big see them together and realize the power of love. In the final scene of the movie, we see Uncle Tom conversing with his love, who assures him that she will wait for him forever.